terms they do when they approve your loan? What is it? Whatever that term is, I need that to be my pronoun.
My girl can go out to one ladies' night. That's it. You can go back with a rule book and everything. And then what's coming to me? And then.
All right. Are y'all gonna kill me if I say, do we throw Michael when he got the skin color change?
Nope, I demand it. Nope, I'm walking off. Stroke. I'm walking off the stroke.
He has a
no,
disease.
It's got to be a stroke. No.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I was just asking a question. First of all,
$1 for a stadium to be built outside of Buffalo.
We have to talk not about just individual behaviors, but about the system, right?
Realize that the credit bureaus, there's nothing federal about it.
So for the believers, it's just like, I have to believe, the God in her, just like she has to believe it in me.
What's up? Welcome back to Let's Chop It Up. Please follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Like and subscribe. Tell a friend about 4 brothers down on this YouTube channel. My brothers from another mother, 7 days don't pass. We back in this seat. Derek, talk to me, man. How you been? What's going on in your life, brother?
Man, life is all right, man. Been taking care of business, been moving forward, been improving. Lots of been very productive 7 days, a great time over Father's Day weekend. Really needed it. Hey, Shauna, how you doing? And I really could use the time. This was right on time. It's my first Father's Day without my own father. So I really needed it, and I needed to let some things go. And I hung out with some dear friends of mine. The whole family came over, had a nice grill, got kicked out, of the backyard, because we overstayed our welcome, but that's all right. That's my man. But it was all good, man. It was all love. And we and I'm back to do this, man. Fantastic good news. My middle son had his 8th grade dance yesterday. He looked like a superstar. I'm telling you, it was great. And I remember the 8th grade back then. I hated 8th grade, man. You know what I'm saying? But he's really doing well. He's really enjoying himself. Had his nice friend, got picked up in a slingshot. You know what I mean? And he was a rock star for the day. So we're happy about that. And took care of a bunch of other stuff that I needed to take care of, man, with my family, man. And I'm here right now, rocking out. You see, I got my house back a little bit. And so that's that, and we're moving forward. Hey, sweetie, what's going on, baby?
I'm all right.
Love checking in. And hey, my baby did a really great thing, man. She really held me down too, man, for Father's Day. Had some nice gifts too. I didn't get just socks and t-shirts and all this other shit that we normally get, you know what I mean? So in the mug, so we did all right, man. She did all right. She hooked me up, man, and that's it, man. I'm back here with you guys, man. Looking forward to the show. And let's go get it. What's going on, Damien? How you doing, man? What's going on with you?
I'm all right. Thank you for asking. Shout out to everybody. It's dope to hear that your son went to his 8th grade dance, and I'm curious what type of music was they playing? Because if they was playing,
listen, you got to filter it out. You got to filter all that stuff out. Now, it ain't my stuff, bro. You know what I'm saying? If I worry about what these kids are listening to right now, I have a conniption, bro. I'm telling you. I just filter it out now.
It's all city girls. It's all weird dancing. Anyway,
I
mean, ain't nothing wrong with it. If people like it, they like what they like. I hear you. So I recently moved. You see a new little background. I'm still getting the cameras and stuff set up. And I'm starting to understand this thing called like renting a home currently, looking for the future to step into home ownership. Dope, and man. I feel like I need to start an OnlyFans. So be on the lookout for that, because I need to bring extra money in. It is what it is. I'm only showing elbows though. Like I'm a put some oil, coconut oil on my elbows.
Yeah.
You put them close together, they might look like something you want to see. I don't know. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna get this money though. We're gonna promote it. It's only $9 a month. You could afford that. That's nothing. Then you're gonna get the premium from me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't gonna be ashy. I'm showing you the back of my feet, the heel area is gonna be moisturized. I'm teaching the people how to keep themselves from falling into those traps. Black people, we can't be ashy. We should never be ashy. We should always respect those certain areas of the body. Imagine ashy kneecaps in a sundress. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, what happened?
Go work.
See,
there you go.
Kelvin, thank you. I appreciate you, sir. You
got
to do something. We all don't got the type of money to have all the fancy things, but there's things available to fight ashiness. So we got to just make sure we're doing something in our lives to make sure when we walk out, when we take a picture, when we try to do a selfie, you know what I'm saying? Like it ain't the flash. It's your ashy skin. That's what's making you look white. Outside of that, I'm doing okay. I had some troubling things happening. Oh, I want to say happy birthday to my sister Desiree. She was born first day of spring. This is her birthday today. I love you. Family loves you. So
summer.
I had to do that. Not gonna take up a lot of time because I hear we got a crazy few topics to talk about. So I want to get into it. Kelvin, Hall of Famer, how was your week?
Pretty good, gentlemen. Everything is good. Just maintaining, thinking of a master plan, because ain't nothing but natives inside this land. You know what I'm saying? No, everything is good. I'm trying to figure out why when you go to the supermarket, whatever line I get on has to be the person who this is their first time ever using the card to check out. Like, I don't understand why is always, and it happens to me all the time. I just know as soon as a person gets up there, a couple of things gonna happen. One, they don't understand the 3-step process to just stick the card in and hit the OK button. That's too much. But the other thing is there's always a disagreement on the price of stuff. And that's another 2 hours. And I mean, all the time, Haagen-Dazs is not 5 for $1. You know that. But get up there and try to get over it. There's always some drama. So I decided as we go into the summer, I'm going to be a lot more patient, a lot more reserved, and I'm going to be a lot less critical of the natives. Okay. So that's my actual short-term goal. I'm going to be a lot less critical of the natives on air. That's what I'm gonna do.
There we go.
But other than that, my week is going fine. Everything is well. I have to start car shopping next month. Need to buy something for my birthday. So it's time. But I gotta admit, it's not really a priority. I've been rocking a little hoopty lately, and I've been enjoying it. You know what I'm saying? I've been enjoying it. I've been enjoying $30 worth of gas and stuff like that. It's a really, really good look, but it's time to bring my image back. I gotta get fly. You know what it is. But I would be remiss if I did not come across the timeline and pass the ball to the number one point guard in the league, the orchestrator, the devastator, the one on the show who roots for a bunch of teams that never win. My man, the greatest of all time, number one in your program. D, talk to me, man. How was your week?
My Knicks ain't got no draft picks in here. Man. Hey, hopefully they make a trade. I'm praying for a trade or something happen tomorrow. But anyhow, my week was good, man. I had my week always falls into Father's Day, Juneteenth, and all that. So Father's Day gifts was good. I got a Manscaped. You must be getting a hint that brother kind of hairy, so I got the whole full body kit. So
nice.
So that was cool. That was cool, man. So then what else I had? Then we had try to go to Black-owned business for on Sunday for Father's Day. Try to celebrate, spend my money Black Juneteenth. The natives. I tried to. Backyard barbecue in Freeport, man.
Man, you was in my town.
This was some nigga shit. I mean, this was some native shit there, boy. I'm seeing that. Oh, the music loud. Nobody take your name. It was just unbelievable, man. The lady, it got so wild. The lady said, "Baby, we don't know when we gonna get to you." That's a damn shame. I said, "No, thank you for letting me know," and I just left. We just left. Birthday was cool. Juneteenth. Got a nice
happy belated birthday, man.
Yeah, man. I wound up getting thank you, appreciate it, bro. I wound up getting what she gave me? She got me tickets to the 50th anniversary hip hop at Yankee Stadium. So I can't wait for that joint to be up that joint, see that Run DMC. Damien, is that their last concert show? This is gonna be the last. Somebody told me that might be the last show together.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Look into that.
So you know I'm going to that joint. What else? Went to a barbecue. My friend threw a barbecue on my birthday, Juneteenth thing. It was cool. It was a lot of throwback chicks there. They're trying to still snatch it. They should have been wearing Spanx and girdles, but they was out there, stuff in their face, wondering why they're getting bigger. But it was cool. A lot of throwback drug dealer dudes there. A lot of Fed time in there. It had to be over 150 years worth of Fed time in there minimum. It was cool. Guys were cool. Old school. I noticed old school cats come. They bring bottles of champagne, Hennessy, Cavassier. The young boys showed up with a purse. I was like, damn, this is different.
With a purse?
Yeah, they come with them purses, man. They come in there.
Oh yeah, that's the thing, man. Yeah,
they come with a purse, man. We come with money in our pocket. They come with a purse. So it's a little different. How to get used to a young boy. I know he felt kind of funny. Like, damn, these guys, nobody has a purse. Well, I'm going to the bathroom with my purse. So
I'm the first to have this purse.
that was kind of. But the good surprise was Jadakiss pulled up to the barbecue and chilled out. Hung out the rest of the whole night.
Oh,
yeah. So Kiss was in the building. That was real sweet, man. He showed up and everything. So it was dope.
Nice.
Sung happy birthday to me. It was dope, man. So love it, man. Can't complain, brothers. Can't complain. So let me see.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was good week, man. Good week this week. What else? All right, let's get into it. We got time. Oh, damn, we kind of early. Oh no, we right on time. Scottie Pippen's ex-wife, how you pronounce that? Larsa Pippen, will now get a half of Scottie Pippen Bulls pension. God damn, half. That's hard.
Okay.
I didn't even see that one coming.
And Mike,
so let me say this. Let me say this. So if he had some problems with Jordan because of The Last Dance in the contract he signed, then this is worse. I mean, this is worse. I think there has to be an understanding. I don't think, and this is gonna sound foul, and this is not an indictment against everybody, but chances are a lot of women don't wind up with NBA players by happenstance. It's just, you don't just happen to be, hanging out at the Goodwill and bump into the person, and I think Scottie knows at this point, he knows. I mean, if you think about it, from the time that we've all known Larsa Pippen, can you name a person who was not a millionaire that she dated? I mean, and I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying you have to understand the objective. Scottie Pippen can look at himself in the mirror and then look at her and be like, you know what? She was after this contract for a long time. You know what I'm saying? She was after, Scottie. I mean, nobody thought Scottie was, a male model back in his playing days. And as a result, a lot of those women that are in that tax bracket or see a guy in that tax bracket, that's what it is. So they believe there's a value in having a woman that's pretty on your arm or whatever like that. And he went for it. So for her, I think it's unfair. I do. I think it's unfair. I'm sure he's paid child support, alimony, and everything like that for a person to get half of his pension. I don't know why she's getting half of his pension. I don't know how it works, but and Scottie's probably just turning 60. So yeah. I don't understand why she gets half of it. Right. I mean, he's probably already paid her more than his first contract he made with the Bulls.
Yep. Yeah, because she hasn't gotten. I think she hasn't gotten. I don't know how the laws work. Maybe she hasn't. That's maybe because she hasn't remarried. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Sean says that's not fair. People date from their peer group. I mean, he brought her into that. Okay, I'm
with that if they met in college.
Yeah, but that again, that's on him.
Damn, your wife hardcore.
Yeah, I know. She said Scottie got a boot for a face. Yeah, I wasn't gonna do it like I wasn't gonna do my man like that.
Give her the scroll,
baby. Come on, I wasn't gonna do him like that. But yeah, man. He's listen, Scottie. Dog, man. I'm trying to figure out who his lawyers are, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the best y'all could do. Damn, find out who they are so you don't ever hire them for nothing. You know what I mean?
How much do you think Scottie Pippen? I know the NFL pension was like $300,000 for OJ, right? A year.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, OJ's still getting his pension, you know.
His probably about half a
Yeah,
million.
you can't mess with your pension.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
I don't know.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I don't cut you off. I was curious how much she's actually getting because that number is important. So,
can somebody find that out? Jamie, Shauna, our Fed people find it out.
Yeah, if somebody can find out exactly how much she's actually getting, that's important.
Yeah, grand larceny, exactly. I mean, she didn't shoot that one free throw, didn't go out and run that one.
And I wonder if she even have to claim, like on child support, the women don't have to claim it on taxes. I wonder if she doesn't have to claim that on taxes.
Well, they don't even have kids anymore. I mean, they have a child.
No, but I'm just saying. I wonder. I wonder if she has to claim whatever she's gonna get. She's gonna get like $250,000.
When is the last time you said or heard a good story about Scottie Pippen?
Damn.
Oh man.
A couple days ago.
Yeah, what you gonna say? Iman Shumpert said he was one of the best defensive players, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was when he played. That was 20 years ago. We knew that 20 years ago. What
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm doing some research. All right, not to cut you off, Kelvin, but they do have 4 children. The 2 youngest is 17 and 13.
Oh, okay.
So they have one that's 21, Scottie Pippen Jr., and Preston Pippen that's 19. If I'm pronouncing wrong, I apologize.
And I don't think that's necessarily. Yeah, maybe they're adding all of that in. You know, the factor in that they have children and all of that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. But
and there was a report saying that his money is really tight right now.
I'm sure it is. He's not playing anymore. He's not working anyway. He's not on any of the. I haven't seen him on any of the. NBA programs, news programs or anything, shows. So I don't think he's, and he's not doing himself any favors with all this Michael Jordan stuff either. So
isolate yourself from your billionaire friend. That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Per the filing, Lawson will receive 50% of all account balances of the planned valuation date closest to the party's date of marital separation. November 3rd, 2016. Harry checking in with the information.
And they said he used to work in the front office for the Bulls.
That's 6 years.
That's almost 7 years. And he filed for divorce.
Yeah.
So it's saying in this article that I'm looking at, she refiled for divorce after an unsuccessful attempt at reconciliation in November 2018. So I don't know the details behind any of that, and I don't want to make any speculations, but they tried to reconcile, and she refiled for divorce and requested joint legal and physical custody of the 4 children. And was that a play to get more alimony, more money? I don't know.
I'm certain.
Well, let me ask you a question. What was her career?
No one knows.
I wish.
Professional girlfriend.
Spreading her cheeks.
Yeah.
That shit pays good money.
Jamie says she gets that in a cash lump sum. I don't know if that he's.
Jamie also said something else.
Yeah, I know we ain't gonna talk about.
I say give him fellatio. Give him fellatio.
Can we scroll Jamie?
Yeah, we got to
scroll himself.
He said that shit.
You scroll yourself.
No, you got to scroll me for asking the question while D is on air. You know that. That's what I get.
Yeah.
I just see it right over the fence.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a degree. Jamie says she's got a degree, but that's not a profession, though.
But to be honest with you, it's not, and it's not fair for me to say that. Obviously, when it comes to rich men, when it comes to affluent men, when it comes to athletes, you're just always going to have women that are just drawn to that. That's a reality of it. The problem is with Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen always seems to be the victim, and he seems to be the victim when some of the stuff just looks like it's preventable. At the end of the day, I don't know this about her, but if you are in that league and you are around groupies, there are people have told me that there's groups that actually go out there looking for these guys. It's very, very common, and they flock together, they hang together, they know each other. Some of the guys know them, and it's kind of like this thing about, are you going to get caught or not? And can you catch one of these guys? So if you look at this woman and she genuinely loved Scottie Pippen and you just fell in love with him or whatever like that, or if it was really heavily based on what he did for a living. The Bulls were rock stars. That's just the bottom line. They were rock stars, in the 90s. So at the end of the day, these guys, because I used to hear women say they never found the NBA players attractive. That these guys all look odd to them, but they got that money, so you know what it is.
Yeah.
So she was stay-at-home mom. That's how she made her money. Harry said she was.
Yeah, Harry says political science degree, was planning to go to law school, but married at 22 and started having kids. Okay, that's her pedigree. She was on the Housewives of Miami. That was a paying gig. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, at least we know she was a career woman.
All I can say is that I think we done. Yeah, I mean, we've seen this story way too many times with Black male athletes and the women that they are married to, that they become involved with. You know, we were talking last week about Zion, and we were talking about Ja and his situation. It just seems like the target is everybody's looking for a way to come up off of them or tear them down. So I feel like there needs to be just way more education. And I know we celebrated Deion Sanders for bringing in I forgot her name, Brittany
Reiner, something like that.
Reiner, maybe, I think, something like that, to speak and talk to them about what this particular specific group of women do, who are intentionally targeting like young athletes. And there's a lot of talk about how disgusting it is in some circles when there's older men looking to meet 23 and 24-year-old women and date them. So it's like, oh, a 40-year-old man dating a 25-year-old woman is disgusting. It's predatory. It's things like that. So now the question I would ask is, are these 30, 35, 40-year-old women who are now preying on these 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old athletes that just came into money, is that now predatory behavior? Are we qualifying that because you're a man or a woman or whatever, how you identify, or are we just calling it what it is? It's predatory behavior. Because, like these people is it grooming? Is it any of those things? Because if there's a 15, 20-year age gap and you see these women showing up to them high school games, and then out of nowhere, when they, you know what I'm saying, after the summer before they start in the NBA, they get seen at the parties, at the clubs, and these women are showing up at their houses, and it's like, okay, that looks like something too. I don't know. What do y'all think?
Hey, Damien, a part of that is a predatory aspect to it, because if you remember, Michael Jordan's wife was a little bit older than him. All right. And I think I can't remember how old Magic Johnson's first wife was back in the day. So I'm not gonna put that on her. But as I recall, it's in my head that they were a little bit older than those guys. And and that's, I mean, not so much to, that it raises an eyebrow, but they were. And so I think there's something to that, and again, and to my wife's point, these stories never seem to be about the white players. I don't know, maybe there's an aspect that we're reacting to right now, but I don't know. Tom Brady, I don't know if he had something like that, but I think he brought something on himself. But yeah, I mean, I think there's something to that, man. I think I think there may be something predatory about it. I think there may be.
Because it's intentional, right?
It is
like, I think Kelvin mentioned it. They're like, oh, we're gonna go to these clubs. We're going to All-Star Weekend because we're trying to get an athlete. We're trying to get with the athlete's friend. We're gonna talk to the bodyguard to get to the athlete.
And it was smart what Deion did too. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You made up to your point. It was smart what he does. Like, when you're dealing, let's say, one of the things that the computer security guys do, when they want to do cyber security, who do they hire? They hire the hackers. All right.
Mm-hmm.
People who've actually done it. You know what I mean? So now he went ahead and he took that same mentality and hired her to kind of come in and talk to the guys. Hey, this is what things that you got to look out for. You have to secure yourself against these type of people. You know what I mean? So I think that was pretty slick,
Well, the question is what is the objective, right? So the person that feels that she's a top 10 model looking woman and she's drop dead gorgeous and things like that. The one of the perks of being a rich man is having the attractive woman. That's always been and is always going to be. The question is, what is the cost of that? In other words, if you think that these women are interested in you because of you, if you think that they're interested in you just because of you, you're probably kidding yourself. I mean, Dennis Rodman had women after him. You know what I mean? And so, no, I mean, we're not going to.
So you're trying to say Dennis is cosmetically challenged?
Yes, and I think we all know it. We just, we want to be nice, but Dennis will tell you that. So, but if you walk into a place and you're over 6'6", you're 6'7", you're 6'8", you stand out. A friend of mine who watches this show, she told me when she was younger, she said she had girlfriends that would go to the garden, and after they get out the garden, they would go to like Charlie O's under the garden. She said people would fight for the tables near the bathroom because they knew these guys would have to go to the bathroom at some point. And so it was kind of an agenda. If you remember, and if you haven't checked it out, Patrick Ewing's ex-wife and Greg Anthony's ex-wife wrote a book jointly called The Full Court Press. And they talked about the strategies that women kind of employ against these guys, and people extracting semen from condoms and using turkey basters and things like that. The reality of it is you are willing to have a child for a man who can make you financially stable for the rest of your life. And to some people, it's just worth that. And you know that once you go in. That's why they have symposiums with the NFL. That's why they have symposiums with the NBA rookies. They want to let you know, take care of your money. And the biggest thing always has to be discussed, the relationships that you have. So these guys that have these, sexual conquests with these women are not just trying to have you sleep with them and go back to working at Burger King. That day is over. The reality of it is this: you're a multimillionaire and you're not gonna go back to the rest of your life, and I'm sitting here struggling. That's it. So if you want me, there's a premium for it. And so what happened is people would either say I was pregnant, or in some cases, people would lie and say they were raped.
Right.
Which is what I thought happened to Kobe.
Right. Can we bring back up that comment? It was about, shouldn't the men know better? There was a comment up there. I just wanted Caroline, shouldn't the guys know better? So I've heard this statement many times, but I feel like there may be a double standard. No disrespect. I think it's a great comment because I agree they should know better. What is it? Do you was gonna say something? Oh,
a Shadow comment is funny, but I was gonna say that, but Shadow wrote it already. All right, go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're not paying attention after me. And if you was 18 years old and somebody was like, you about to make $20 million, and you're like, yeah, well, you gotta protect your money. You're like, huh? What? Protect what? I'm going out. I'm buying a house. But so to get back to the point, it's like, shouldn't the guys know better? It's like, so are we not holding the women accountable for anything? Because now when a woman feels slighted by a man, sometimes when people say, oh, shouldn't the girl know better? Shouldn't a woman know better than to deal with a guy who, don't got a job, just got out of jail? He just looking to use her money, and they're like, oh, it's not the woman's fault. So are we always going to shirk responsibility from the women, even when they're being predatory?
Yes.
It always falls on the man.
Yes, I think it always does.
If that's the case, keep the same energy. But it seems like there is just a little. I know there's double standards that go both ways, and more double standards are in benefit of men in this country, at the very least, if not the world. But at some point, we got to start holding everybody accountable for their actions and their choices, especially when it's intentional.
I think people want to believe women. I think people want to believe women. I think we were raised like that. I've heard people say, a guy cheated on a woman. And then when a woman cheats on a guy, some women will be like, he must have done something. Like at the end of the day, you get a lot of that. And I think it's because we want to believe women in that case. Usually the guy is the one that is approaching the woman. Usually the guy is the aggressor. That's usually the case. Guys gravitate toward women. Guys pursue women. Guys, and women do too in different cases, but usually that's the situation. So these athletes won't get the benefit of the doubt. And two, I think it was Caroline that asked, why won't these guys do better or something like that? Sexual attraction with men is I can't speak for women, but as far as men is concerned, it impairs your judgment. It just impairs your judgment. When there's some cases where men just feel rendered powerless because of their desire. And that's just the bottom line. And you do have to get that in check. And usually men, as they mature and get older, we get better with it. But usually there's a lot of mistakes made because usually that lust and sexual attraction and desire usually starts to, it wins over better judgment. And I think that's the reality of it with men. And that's why young men are such easy prey. You take a young ball player or rapper or entertainer, and all of a sudden you look all right. So look at somebody. I had a friend that worked for Chris Brown when he was about 16 years old. And according to her, Chris Brown had grown women coming onto them tour buses. And you thought it was the daughter, is the mother trying to get on there too. Because think about it, Chris Brown was 16, the girl was 16, the mother was 32, 33, 34. She was trying to get at him too. And that's just what it is. So you get a boy like that, he's 16 years old, his mother works for him, all the people around work for him, and these women are trying to come at him. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, yeah, I hear you. But then the other side of it is like, young people are susceptible. So it's not just young men. Young women are susceptible. We have so many stories of young women being groomed and all this other stuff. But we don't ever say, well, maybe those women should do better. And I don't think they should have to. We should have a society where young people are better protected, and we have adults who aren't plotting and intentionally trying to take advantage of young people in sexual ways, right? Like that should be the way of the world. But unfortunately, it isn't. So I think there just has to be less of the like, well, shouldn't they know better? This assumption that men just should always do better, and that there's no accountability on the women's end for intentional predatory behavior. They still get off, and it's like that is an extreme in my opinion. But how you doing, Derek? You back?
No,
you with us?
Ready issues. Technical issues.
Yeah, he's still. The lesson of the day is be a passport, bro. Pay for some pussy out of country. Anyhow, serious, man. These guys, man, listen. They didn't listen, like Shauna said. There's a few good comments in there. I want to get back to some of you. There's a lot of good comments. I think a brother named, I'm not sure if it was a man or woman, Hoodie Vintage. He had some good stuff. There was a few good comments. Okay,
women are hypergamous. I don't even know what that means. Hypergamous by okay, yeah, I believe you. By nature, this isn't strictly an athlete issue. Once the honeymoon is over and resources are limited, a predator pounces or bounces. Yeah. And hey, Carolyn, how you doing? I'm not by any means giving women a pass. I'm just saying we all need to play it smart.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And I agree. We do. But honestly, when you think about it, young people, they just don't have the knowledge, the experience to play it as smart as, like everybody was saying. As we get older, we get wiser.
Get a passport. Get your mfufu, and they have no problem. Anyhow, Jamie, let's see what we got here. Okay, here we go. How do men lead today's women? Jamie, can you play the clip? What's that noise in the back?
I don't know. Okay, I don't know.
All right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
How should men lead women? Is the question, I guess, right?
All right.
What is that?
We got to give some background to this conversation, right? This discussion. I know last week it came up kind of briefly before we ended. So, there's this discussion about traditional men versus modern men, traditional women versus modern women. There's a lot of things going on in social media that I actually think is being detrimental to the Black community, where it seems to be much more divisive than it is productive, than it is constructive. And it just seems like a lot of people are going back and forth and arguing over these things. But one of the main points is like, some men believe women don't allow them to be leaders. They want women to support and nurture. And some women are saying things like, well, I don't mind that if the man is capable of leading. So there, and the argument goes a little bit deeper. There's a few different versions of it. There's a few different arguments of it. But at the end of the day, I was thinking, it's like, so if there is any potential for a man to be a leader in a relationship, how does a man do that? And it would be great to get some of the women in the audience to just chime in on it. And if you watch this over, to post in the comments, because it's a genuine conversation that we should have. but it has to have context and it has to be productive. It can't just be arguing back and forth with, well, these dudes got too many kids. And, like all of that arguing is not benefiting nobody. Just people just throwing out stereotypes and running with it. We found out over 50% of men are single and childless. So, you know what I mean? It's not all the men at the very least. And then there's like about 30% that are married. So it's not all the men doing all this dirt and doing all this nonsense. So there are some men who aren't running around just doing women dirty. So there's a lot of conversation happening around it, but we need more facts. We need more context. So I wanted to just ask the question, like, from a woman's perspective and from a man's perspective, how do men lead today's women?
I think when we're talking about leadership in general, one thing that I've always heard about is, if you're talking about leading, you're talking about leadership, and leaders are servants. Number one, you serve your family. All right. You serve the person that you love. You know what I mean? So what that means is you give of yourself. You give direction, you give support, you give resources, you give your spiritual attention, you give what you are, your essence, and you become a resource, and that's how you lead. You know what I mean? That's how you build your value to a person, to anybody, to society, to your community. And that's what it is. And I think your number one community obviously is your family, and then whether that be, just you and your wife, because you're a family together, or, obviously your children, so you have to give of yourselves first. If you just want to walk in and just start giving instructions and, hey, I want my dinner and I want this and I want that, you know what I mean? Then that's not what it's about. You know what I'm saying? It's about you provide something first. You show up yourself, and then and then it's reciprocated. Obviously, I think it's a symbiotic relationship personally. So so I don't know. So past that, the unfortunate, and it used to be, I think we're struggling right now because that thing used to be easier or simpler. You know what I mean? I don't know if it was easier, but it was simpler. The roles used to be simpler. You know what I mean? The man used to go out and be the provider exclusively, and the woman was the nurturer and home builder exclusively. And now that's out of the way the world is built. It's a little different now. We both have to take on roles. So
is it okay if I just add to that? Because historically in this country, Black women have worked. They were nannies, they were mammies, and all that stuff. And they were always in roles where they had to work because, just respectfully in a general sense, white women didn't want to take care of their children. White women didn't want to work. So they had Black women work menial wages. And we know the history of tipping in this country and where it came from and all that stuff, because they didn't want to play Black bus boys and things like that. So there were always super low wages that they were forcing Black people to do in this country. So Black women had to work for hundreds of years. So other women didn't have to work or didn't have to do a lot of things like raising their own children. So I wanted to say, because when you said exclusively, it's like that role, those exclusive tags were never for us because the mom had to do things and the father had to go out and provide. They made movies about that stuff.
Get to the comments. No, I want to make sure. Yeah, get to the comments real quick.
Yeah.
I want to go over and talk. Jamie, can you bring the comments back? Somebody got some noise, man. I don't know what that noise is.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I think I got a plane going overhead. Is that what it is?
Oh, that's what it might be. It might be that. You got your windows open?
Yeah.
It's you.
Okay, let me say this in the meantime while I respond in the comments. This is what I believe. First of all, if you want men to lead, because I think it's a loaded question. Okay, how should men lead women? First of all, these are women and these are not children. These are adults. So you can't lead a woman unless she wants to be led, right? So this idea. So
that's what Shauna said. I want to get to the comment. Go ahead.
Okay, you have to ask yourself, okay, so what qualifies you to lead? So if I'm a Christian, so if I'm in a relationship with another Christian, there's plenty of scriptures that substantiate men leading. Okay. Now, if you're not for that, I was in Miami once and this guy we had this rooftop event And it's myself, this woman that I don't know, and this guy that's part of the party we're all with. And he's telling this woman, he's like, you have to understand when Adam and Eve and stuff like that, he's breaking all this, biblical narrative. And she's like, I don't believe that. So you can perpetuate that. If the person doesn't subscribe to that, it doesn't matter. So the question is, what qualifies you to lead? Now, I saw these roles acted out when I was a kid. My father made more than my mother. If a man came to our house, a repairman, a businessman, a policeman, anyway, he had to see my father. My mother was not going to have to take care of any of that. Anything that had to do with protection, provision, or anything, my father took care of it. If the tire blew out, it was not my mother's job. My mother would work, and my mother would keep the house. She would give us our chores. My mother would cook. And so there were roles. As far as a man leading a woman today, a lot of women in our community make more than men. A lot of women in our community now in corporate America more than men. A lot of women are. Well, I'll tell you, I know many more Black female professional women than men. I mean, not even close. And I mean, it's not even close. I do not know a bunch of
salaries though.
Right, but I'm saying I still do not know a bunch of dudes in Wall Street. I do not know a bunch of dudes in corporate jobs. I know a bunch of Black women who are six-figure earners and doing their thing. So then if this guy is not one and he doesn't have the same pedigree as her, and he's like, listen, I'm going to lead just because of my gender, I don't know that that's enough.
I agree with you. I would just say, like, if 5% of Black women earn over six figures, that's not a large number, right? Like, so that's what I've been trying to do research on it. And I'm not telling you you're wrong, because I've seen more Black women in those positions of power as well. But like in terms of earners and wages, like Black women still traditionally earn a lot less than Black men. So a lot of times I think it's a narrative than it is a factual situation. And I don't think, I'll just, like you said, you're a Christian. I'm not a religious person, but I would say, I think the best ideas got to lead at some point, and it got to be strengths-based. So if I'm not good at something and I'm with someone and we're together and we're in a relationship, hey, if you think you could take care of this, I'm gonna trust you. Because if I'm in a relationship with you, I gotta have some type of faith in you, right? But
Damien, let me just say
I'm
this.
good at something, let me take care of that.
Let me just say this. I don't know statistically, and maybe you looked it up. I haven't. I think Black women earn less than white men doing the same job and white women doing the same job. I don't know as far as Black men. I don't know. I've always heard that men make more than women. I don't know how it relates to our community like that. Again, I'm seeing the Black UPS driver. I'm seeing the Black FedEx driver. I'm seeing the Black person that works at a tire shop, the Black guy that's a mechanic or things like that. If we go tomorrow, or if I go tomorrow and stand at the subway station watching Wall Street or downtown Manhattan, I think there's going to be many more Black women that come up that subway dressed in business attire than Black men. I don't even think Black men are over there as much. And so as far as that's now, what I was always raised is this. One of my friends said that her experience is Black men have a problem with Black women making more than them. I haven't really seen that. I haven't seen that much.
Seen that either.
Yeah, I have not known that to be a problem. Again, I can't speak to the women's perspective, but most of the guys I know seem to be very, very fine with a woman being independent and doing her own thing, especially if she loves him and they're in a relationship and they have the belief that I have, which is it should all be in one pot. That it's a collective, that we make this together. That's what I would believe. But that's her position. That's what she's experienced. I haven't really seen that. But I'm saying when it comes to leading, I think leading has much, to your point, Damien, has much more to do with the way you are versus what you make. And I think there's some women that would love to. I have one friend who has her own home. She's not married, but she said, I would love for a man to be in here and take care of a lot of the stuff that I wouldn't have to take care of if I were married still, and so I think those things are important.
Yeah, no, you're right, man. I want to keep going back. If anybody else want to chime in, please feel free. But yeah, it's important to just, I think, to move away from the narratives that we get told and sold on the internet, and really just bring some context with some actual data. And that doesn't mean all the data is all accurate and we just should listen to it and ignore people's lived experience, because I have the same experience you do. I've not heard a lot of Black men complain about any woman making more than them. I have, in my experience, is not a fact, it's not something I'm trying to push, that more women have problems if they make more than a man. That's what I've actually heard and seen more of.
Yeah.
But then this goes back to the conversation earlier. Are we now just gonna take that statement and then run and talk about the men, or are we gonna say, well, maybe this is something women need to consider and think about?
What do you mean
and not
that
just
more
think
women
they
have
do it.
problems when they make more? What do you mean by that?
Women are like, well, if he don't make as much as me or more, then I don't want him. And it's just like that's like a statement, you know.
I'll give you a personal example from someone that I know. Someone, let's say, a guy I know. He was working. He's very blue. I'm not going to say what he did. Very blue collar job. Let's put it that way. While his wife, or his lady, was going to school. All right. During that time, he's the man. He's the earner. All right. Both of them have degrees. Both of them had degrees. He went on to a more blue collar job, worked for himself, and he was supporting while she continued on with advanced degrees. Fast forward a few years, she reaches her goals. Now she makes more money than him. All right. And now, before he was the provider. All right. He was the leader. Is he still the leader in a situation like that? You know what I'm saying? So now it becomes, okay, he put his thing on hold, or not necessarily on hold, but he went ahead and what he did was he did a fantastic job providing, to the point that she was able to excel in her personal goals. He built that platform and helped build that platform. Now she goes on, she makes more money, and now what happens? If she give him her ass to kiss, so to speak, you know what I'm saying?
But what did happen, Derek?
So, huh?
Yeah, what did happen? Yeah.
Well, let's just say they've been through the ups and downs. They're together and whatever. But what happens is they definitely went through their times. So now, depending on who you ask and what day, they'll tell you who's in charge. You know what I'm saying? But
I think that's on him, Wakanda. Like,
but up to that. But here's my point.
You gotta walk around with big dick energy. You know what I
mean? Well, see,
yo, is that body shaming?
That's the thing.
Is that body shaming?
That's the thing.
You gotta walk around like a boss, man. Like,
listen, man.
All right, go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I feel you in the bravado and the that's one thing. But the practicality of it is who's now in charge. If it's about money, if you're making the leadership about who makes more money, that's my point. She now makes more money. Is she now in charge? You know what I'm saying? Like, where it was before, or it was the guy who got her there. You know what I mean? So
it depends how she views him. Does she? Is it like, I only need you because you make more money? If that's the case, then there was never that type of respect there anyway. I've seen guys that didn't have anything, and these women still. There's some women that just, adore these guys. Right. And that to a fault, by the way, to a fault. I mean, there should be no reason why a woman is going out to work every day and a guy is not trying to find a job or not trying to work. If you don't have a job, your job should be looking for a job. That's the reality of it. If you get a guy that's not even because if you want to just sit down because she's making and she's carrying the load and you're fine with that, then I don't think you're fit to be a leader anyway. And then the other thing I've said on this show before, and I think Damien alluded to this a moment ago, if you lead better at something, if she's an accountant, don't be on some, I'm going to manage the money because I'm the man. In other words, what you do is you play to your strengths as a couple. That's the bottom line. There's certain things certain people do better than other people, and you should let them lead. That's the core to me of a relationship. Actually trying to fill in each other's weaknesses and come together as one, as a collective. That's the thing. The day of the guy just being, I'm in charge. Again, these are two adults. I mean, one of my friends told me, he's like, if I ask my wife to make me something to eat and she say no, then I have to make myself something to eat. Ain't no what else I'm gonna do. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So that's just it. There's nothing else to talk about. So you have to understand, when you say lead a woman, I think there's something to be said about being there for a woman. I think there's something to be said about where she has needs at, and then you helping fulfill those needs.
Yeah, because you got to get there first.
I just want to go to the next topic, but just bring up what Shauna said with the Jill Scott comment. I always love this comment when Jill Scott said this.
It's a great comment, yeah.
Shauna says, Jill Scott said it best. If you can tell me what to do, you can tell me what to do. But if you can't tell me what to do, you can't tell me what to do. You can't tell me what to do. I remember that comment.
Yeah, that's the best.
We will follow a leader. You know,
that's it.
I do whatever Jill Scott wants.
It's just like I was telling one of my young boys, like, you base your whole thing on relationships on who makes the most money, then this shit is dead already to me. Because like a man should have a man or whoever in the family, the man has got to have that in him. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't care if she's making twice as much money. She's got to have it. Oh, EOTs, here she comes.
Yeah, she's checking in. I'm with the interdependent route. Know your limitations. Nurture the best idea and work towards executing it together. Yeah,
I mean, EOT.
You're right, and you have to choose that every day. But and that's why I say you got to approach it with some humility, though. You know what I mean? You can't necessarily go into it like, hey, it's my way or the highway. So yeah, round one for Jill Scott and that microphone, absolutely.
Oh shit!
Now you know what the thing is. This I think men sometimes allow our ego to get in the way. So you want to be able to flex. I remember as a kid, usually if we went out as a family, my father would drive, my mother would be in the passenger seat, and we would be in the back. And that's just how it usually would be. That's how we went out as a family most of the time. Now, my mother had a license, but usually my father just was the head of our household in that regard. My mother handled the domestic stuff. My father made more money. My mother was in charge of discipline, which she was very, very good at, and making sure the house was right. And those are the things. And that's how their dynamic worked. Now, the opposite was said of my grandparents. My grandfather was the only one who worked. My grandmother stayed home, but he would bring all of his money to her. She would pay all the bills. She would make sure they had a vacation to take, and then whatever she gave him back, he could do whatever he wanted with. That's how it worked for him, because he got into a little trouble gambling when he was young. And she's like, no, we're not losing this mortgage, this house. You bring everything to me, and whatever I give you back, you could do whatever you want with it. And that's how it worked for them. So it just depends.
Yeah, it works. It works how it works.
Yeah, man. So we got a discussion right now. It's gonna be a gender identity discussion. It's gonna be 2 point of views. You're going to have a liberal point of view, and you're going to have a conservative point of view. We will start with the liberal point of view with a clip from Malik Yoba. Jamie, can you play the clip?
For all of you cisgender women, naturally born women who think that trans women...
not naturally born, again. Not naturally born. Nothing about it is natural.
I told you I make mistakes.
Nothing about that is natural.
Okay, so what I'm saying is... For women, what's the language I should say?
Assigned female at birth.
Okay, so for women who are assigned female at birth and stick to that,
and for whom that is consistent with how they identify,
and for whom that's a lot of words. Who
stick with it?
Okay,
you are in a commitment for a stance. So
do the work.
Yes,
do the work.
Come on,
teach me. Say it again.
Do the work.
Do it again.
For whom?
For whom?
It's consistent with how they identify.
Okay, so for women who were assigned female at birth and it's consistent with how they identify.
That's right.
Right.
Yo, that's crazy. Everybody's quiet. I thought there was more to it. Not trying to get canceled, but I think it's getting a little bit too much. Frat brother Malik Yoba. Shout out to Malik Yoba, the Phi Beta Sigma man. But I'm just a little tired, man. Like, I saw a thing where it said if 100 people, if you had 100 transgenders and 100 heterosexual men, and they all died 100 years from now in the grave, you'll find 200 men in the grave, because it's biologically you're gonna it's still like you know what I'm saying, like that whole call in whatever, saying like I can't remember people, the brother, I don't know if he identifies a man, so excuse me, I don't know if he identifies a man or woman, that the person that was on the screen trying to explain to Malik Yoba what they was called at birth or whatever like that. Like, it's only 2. Let's get back to real. It's only 2 things you're born, male or female. I get it if you feel a certain way. But if I felt like I'm a tree and started shaking, y'all gonna say I'm psychologically fucked up. If I walk down the street, so I'm going shaking, I'm covered.
Right. This is
what
what it is. This is how I feel about it in a nutshell, and I think I've alluded to this before. You have a right to feel the way you feel. You have a right to believe in what you believe in. You just don't have a right to impose on other people. And I think right now there's this thing about just imposing on other people. I think the books, I think the trying to teach people's children an ideology that they don't subscribe to. that's unfair. That's just the reality of it, because I think we went from tolerance to preferential treatment, and that's the reality of it. And I get your point, D. It's exhausting because I don't want to have to defend my position. My position was designated to me at birth, and I believe that. That's just what it is. And I don't believe because the calendar has changed. I don't believe because the decade has changed. I don't believe because the time has changed that my belief has to change along with it, with everything. And I think that's the reality of it. Again, I'm with you. I believe there used to be males, females, and then there were some rare occasion where I think they called them hermaphrodites or something, people that was born with both sex organs or something like that. And this is not that. This is people just saying that this thing about identifying, you can identify with something and be incorrect. So to the point, if you identify as a tree, as much as you do that, other trees will tell you you're not a tree. That's just the bottom line. And the trees are not human. So the reality of it is this: stop trying to force this agenda on people. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I respect the fact that you might do it, and that's you. I don't want to smell your smoke because I don't want that in my lungs. I respect that you want it in your lungs. That's fine. I just shouldn't have to smell it. That's the bottom line. And you drinking does not make me get a DUI. So that's fine. I'm happy with it. My problem is if you get drunk on the wheel and hitting me. That's the problem. So you can do what you want. I don't want it to affect me. You can identify. You can call yourself a woman. You can walk like a woman. You can talk like a woman. You can sound like a woman. The reality of it is this: in my eyes, you will never be a woman. I don't care if you are 6'5" and you got a skirt on. I am not opening the door for you. That is the bottom line. I am not going to. That's just what it is. So if the campaign is to get me to change my perspective, then it's a fail. That's the bottom line. As one of my friends said, it's a no for me, but good luck.
No, I'm just thinking, everything identifies. So if I was drinking, like you said, to your point, I was drinking and driving, but the cop stopped me and I said, I don't identify as being drunk. I identify as being sober. Like everything is identifying as some new shit. Like, I identify as like whatever. It's like I identify as having good credit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It's getting insane.
Right. Because it fluctuates, and what happens is this. So let's say at my age, I identify with being a 15-year-old girl. Should I be able to go to the pool and go into the locker room with teenage girls? And they're like, wait a minute, there's a guy in here. No. Don't let this genitalia fool you. I'm actually on the inside a 15-year-old girl. You know what I'm saying? That sounds ridiculous. Regardless if you feel that way, you can't make everybody else feel that way. I can get on the screen and say, I identify with being invisible. And now I'm upset because you all can still see me.
Well, yeah, I think that there's a lot of, I think there's some interesting comments to talk about. And it's just, this is, I think, a conversation that's being pushed in a way that it seems like there was a group of people who truly believe and feel and identify different ways than what binary that exists and has been prevalent in the society around the world.
Right.
And I respect that. I don't have a disrespect in any way, and really, in my opinion, I just look and say, if you, in your attempt to gain respect and safety and treatment and fairness, then become a bully, because it sounded like he was just being kind of yelled at while trying to support. Right. And if we're going to give people grace and respect and say, hey, I know you're learning in this moment and you're trying to support us, so I'm going to treat you like somebody who actually cares about me and cares about what I'm going through and cares about what I'm dealing with, then there has to be that understanding. Because if you're asking for that understanding, you got to give it. So I just look at it and I just say, I can't speak for any of those people, but what I did see was somebody making a concerted effort and I don't know if those people get on the Breakfast Club, one of the largest radio programs, without him. And so there's some things that I'm just like, I think that man is trying to support you as best he can, or as good as he can at the moment until he gets better, right? So I just look at it as like, hey, How do you now support that person that supports you? Because he could have flipped in that moment. Yeah. If he would have said, "Don't talk to me like that," what happens in that moment? He's in the right.
I think the dynamic of that relationship was expressed when, I'm not sure who that was on the end, when he said, Malik was like, a natural woman. They checked him, said, no, not a natural woman. They went through the whole description, and it said, and one said, there's nothing natural about that. Right? There's nothing natural about being by his own definition, a biological woman. There's nothing natural about that. And then the other one said, if you're going to be an ally, you have to do the work and you have to listen to the definition. So they're making him choose. All right. Their definition versus a biological woman not being a natural woman. They're just getting rid of the whole, are they just trying to get rid of the whole word natural woman, like biological woman? What are they trying to do?
Remember one time they tried to ban that song, I Feel Like a Natural Woman?
I think that was a joke. I think it was a joke. I don't know. I can't say it. I heard it.
According to this clip that I just saw, that is completely plausible. That is completely plausible.
Right. I agree. First of all, how do you reduce women? To me, a woman being born with a womb, I mean, I think that plays into it now. And if you remember years ago, the lady that said she was black and she actually wasn't. She was a white woman that, had braids and a tan and things like that. And so now do we say, this person that was born black or a person that has become black? I mean, to me, it's lunacy. To me, it's an insult. You go ahead.
Wait, if anything happens with reparations, you know how many Rachel Dolezals? I'm waiting for that moment. I'm gonna be like, yo, bring them out.
That's right.
They coming out.
That's what I'm saying. Now the problem is when you see people that actually are black, people that actually were oppressed, people who actually were discriminated against. That's the thing. So you ride in on the coattails. So at the bottom line, what I'm noticing about you cannot dispute, testosterone versus estrogen, period. That's the bottom line. And so I know somebody who identified with being a woman, had a sex change and all that, coughed and sounded like he was trying to start a car. At the end of the day, let me tell you something. You can change the building. You can change the building, but you can't change the tenant. That's the bottom line. You can go ahead and put all these, nails on and eyelashes and stuff like that. At the end of the day, biologically, you can't mirror a woman. You just can't do it. And the other thing is this idea that you can have a baby or something like that. Well, we're waiting. I mean, that's just the bottom line. It's just it. Let me
go to the next one. So that was a liberal point of view. So we're gonna go to conservative clip. Jamie, play the conservative clip for us, please.
Hello. I'm here to speak on behalf of our younger children and their academics. This book, It Feels Good to Be Yourself, which has an oxymoronic title based on its content, can be found in 26 elementary schools. It is geared towards K2, and as Macmillan Publisher says, it basically is geared toward ages 4 through 8. It introduces 4 different characters with different gender identities. It makes it seem as if gender is an imaginary concept that can be changed on a whim, when the truth is gender is factual. You're either a boy or a girl. And gender identity, what you see yourself as, that's imaginary. Well, let me read you a couple of things. First character is Ruthie. She's a transgender girl. That means when she was born, everyone thought she was a boy until she grew a little older, old enough to tell everyone that she's actually a girl. Then there's her brother, Xavier. Xavier is a cisgender boy. Which 4 through 8 year old knows what cisgender means? Can they spell cisgender? That means when Xavier was born, everyone thought he was a boy. And as he grew older, it turned out everyone was right. He was a boy. Then there's Alex, the friend. Alex is both a boy and a girl. Then there's JJ. JJ is neither a boy nor a girl. Ever since JJ was very little, they never felt exactly like a boy or girl. They just felt like themselves. This is JJ's gender identity. Some kids feel like girls. Some kids feel like boys. Some kids feel like a little bit of both. Part boy, part girl. Reminds me of that old commercial. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Is that okay? Some kids don't feel exactly like a boy or a girl. They feel like neither. Some kids feel that their gender identity isn't always the same. It's often changing. So now are we endorsing schizophrenia? What are we doing? Whether you feel like a boy or a girl or neither, if you describe yourself another way, that is your gender identity. When does this foolishness stop? When you shroud lunacy, insanity, or fallacy in colorful words and pictures to be read to young children, you have created an unsafe environment, since we're talking about safe environment, right? Where does it stop? At this tender age, our children should be learning their ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. Who authorized this? Who told you that you are God? Who gave you permission to tell our children who they are and who they're supposed to be? This is intentional and evil at its core. Get back to what you were elected to do and formally educate our children, not indoctrinate them with left-wing ideologies under the guise of providing a safe and welcoming space. Hear us clearly. We will not surrender our children. Leave our children alone.
I don't know what else I could add. She laid it out.
Yeah, ain't too much to add to that. But go ahead. I mean, anybody want to say anything?
Well, I think at the heart of it all is there's a question: who is going to be in charge of educating our children? Gender isn't a damn almond joy. All right, Ortiz, exactly. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't, right? But listen, you know, I think this is actually a very old this actually goes back to a very old argument. Who's in charge of educating our children, the parents or the state? All right. So the conservative argument has always been the parents should have the power. And the liberal has been more, it should be the state. You know what I mean? So I think what we're doing as Black people, so all I can identify as, all right. So I have to first we say words come to words while people come first. You know what I'm saying? It's just, that's what I got to do. Right. Listen, we have to figure out what side and how this is going to affect us and how we're raising our children. You know what I'm saying? Some of us are more on the conservative side. Some of us are more on the liberal side. You know what I mean? I am more in favor of me being in charge of my child. You know what I mean? What they learn in school, you know? And I'm not saying that there's not a place for understanding other things, for broadening horizons. I do believe that there are some children who are born differently than others, you know? And I do believe that there is a great value in, introducing that concept to our children, all right, and letting them, you know, making a space for everyone within reason, obviously making a space for everyone, but not letting it completely take over a whole section of their education. You know what I mean? So, I think that's probably, I think we're probably having a conversation over what are the limits of that, you know? So that's my sober analysis of the situation, you know what I mean, what I can add to it. So.
Okay. Well, for me, I still like women. I don't like beyond a meat pussy. I still like the real thing, the real deal. So I'm all about supporting real, born fresh out the womb coochie.
This is I don't like the agenda being pushed. I just don't. And for some reason there is a I mean, you could just see this is growing and it's becoming an issue. And I think you're trying to almost infiltrate other people. You know, if you don't believe,
it feels coercive.
I'm sorry?
It feels coercive.
Yeah,
I agree with Loretta say. I agree with Loretta.
Government schools, districts are slowly chipping away at our rights to raise our children. Absolutely. Have been chipping away. You know.
Well, you know, they're gonna have to cancel my father and mother posthumously. because let me tell you something. My father saw me. My sister told me to hold the Ken doll, and I got blitzed on. I'm telling you, I mean, let me tell you something. They didn't play that. They did. I remember being in 2nd grade, and I was getting reprimanded by my teacher, Mrs. Caruso, and she was reprimanding me. I sniffled. I was like, she's like, I know you're not crying. You better not be crying. I was like, I'm like, nah, I got a cold. Like that's just how it was then. They was not trying to hear it. And I know people feel that was wrong. I'm sorry. I'll take that over this. I will take that over this. I'm sorry. And I don't think you can't show me any reason why the world is better. Now, again, I preference everything by saying no matter what you identify as, you should not be hurt or mistreated or bullied because of that, period. That's off the table. I'm not talking about that. You shouldn't be. I don't care what it is. You should not be physically or mentally harmed because of the way you feel about yourself and the way you identify. At the same time, you should not vilify people because they don't agree with your ideology. That's my point. That's how I feel about it. And I think we can all agree that there's room for all of us. But I don't need this on the cartoons and everything like that. And even with heterosexual couples, I think what you do sexually, it should be done in the privacy of your own space. And that's it.
Derek, can you read the
live life by doing. How you doing? She says, I imagine it's extremely tough when you have a child openly expressing to you that they feel different. I would never want my child to feel that I'm forcing them to suppress who they are or what they want to be.
We agree.
All right.
I agree with
absolutely.
that.
On the other note, Whitney Houston once said, I'm every woman. It's only me. Anything you want done, baby, I'll do it naturally. All right. I think, and you hit the point. My wife says the government has taken away the parents' right to their children's medical records after the age of 12. They can keep parents out and influence our children how they want, you know?
So can I speak to that? Oh, go ahead.
These feeling children are also addicted to drugs, fentanyl, meth. These choices need to be made as adults. Yeah, go ahead, Damien.
Well, yeah, there's definitely an over medication of children, especially Black children in the country. That's definitely an issue. But I just wanted to say that the state has always had control over the children's learning. It was never in the parents. Like, if we're just going to be straight up honest, parents never had a real say. Right. So they're not chipping away at rights. You never had rights. You can't go up to the school and tell them to stop doing anything. They'll look at you like, get out.
The public school has always been a curriculum.
Yeah, public school is free. If you want to pay for school and then you want to influence it with your money, you can. But obviously, most people don't pay. They created compulsory public school to indoctrinate children to work in factory jobs. You know, this is a very short version of what was really being done back then. But they were teaching them menial skills so they can become workers for the owners of the country. And it was like, well, we need to find a way to get these people with different languages, different cultures to follow what we want them to do.
Right. It's always been a human resources solution. Yeah. You know.
Yeah. And then, but when you think about even just the different wings of the same bird, right? If you talk about Democrats or Republican, both of the groups continue to cut funding to public education. And they have not increased. I don't remember if it was ever increased. If I'm being honest, please educate me because I don't know. But I always remember the budget being reduced when it comes to schools, even startups, nonprofits, programs.
They give you know, I know. I was a student.
Money in. We cutting the money a year later. Like, oh, we giving y'all $200,000. Next year it's $100,000. It's like, wait, what happened?
Shit, your man Eric Adams cut budgets from say $200,000. So I'm just one of the transfer schools. I'm not going to say the name to $30,000. That's a fact. That's a fact.
Well, that has to be. Who's gonna take care of the asylum seekers? You know, like the other day, they was in Manhattan. People was talking about the rent hikes, and people upset. I said, "It's y'all fault. You got to go to Mexico, then get on a bus once you fly there, and get sent here. Then you good. Yeah, that's what you got to do. You can't be here and get nothing. You got to go over there and just be transported here. But this is the difference. I'd say this, Damien. You guys worked in education. I haven't. I'll say this. When I was in 5th grade, I had a teacher named Mr. Hershon. Mr. Hershon didn't believe in giving homework, right? The problem is my mother did. And next day I went to school. I came home. Mom, guess what? They changed my class. She's like, I know they did. Like, that was it. In other words, she didn't change his philosophy, but I'll tell you one thing, she changed one of the students, and that was me. And you was going to a class where I can monitor what you're doing through homework. So parents obviously have to get involved there. That you should have a strong PTA in any school district. Mm-hmm. Believe me, at the end of the day, parents do have power, and the power that they have is they provide you the children that go there. They pull these kids from the school, then that funding is not going to be there at the end of the day. So you have to make a leverage play somewhere. Damien, I get your point. They're going to have an agenda, but I'll tell you one thing. You go there one day and there's no students to be taught, then there's no jobs to be had, then there's going to be some compromise.
Well,
and the thing about that...
Go ahead, Damien, get your last word. And nobody else saying nothing after Damien. We're going to go to commercial. Let's not go to the education thing. Go ahead, Damien. I'll let you
but I would say if all the parents started doing that, most of them would be out of a job, and then most of them would be out on the street. And somebody else is gonna be like, I'll send my kids to that school so I could take that job, and I could. It's a cycle, and they know that you ain't gonna sit. What you need gas. You need to make it work. You need to send them kids to that school.
On that,
you want to send them to that other school? You got $10,000 a year? Oh, you don't? Well, you need to send them to this school. Zoning, redistricting. I hear you. There may be some power in that. You gonna homeschool your kid? Well, you got to fill out.
All right, Damien, you went a little too long, goddammit. You went too long.
You got it. My bad, bro. I apologize.
All right.
Nobody want to hear that shit, Sharif. You're right. Go ahead.
Not Sharif. Go ahead, Jamie. Commercial.
Oh my God. If you're like me and most Americans, managing busy schedules, working countless hours, can't find enough time in the day to spend with family, and sometimes forced to neglect cleaning your own home, then Higher Quality Cleaning Service is for you. We're the smart choice in cleaning. In addition to providing competitive and affordable rates, we offer customized cleanings tailored to your specific needs. We take great pride in exceptional customer service. We have a standard of excellence that is unsurpassed by any of our competitors. All of our cleaners are licensed, insured, and bonded. We use the most up-to-date equipment that the industry has to offer. We offer residential and commercial cleaning service. Your satisfaction is our top priority. Higher quality is not only our name, it's our standard. Book your appointment today at www.higherqualitycleaning.com. Our IG, Higher Quality Cleaning _. Our phone number is 718-527-0370. And you can find us on Facebook at Higher Quality Cleaning.
Yo, what's up? If you like what you're seeing from the Four Brothers here, give us a thumbs up. Like and subscribe to the channel so you can stay notified when we go live and post new content. Thank you for the support.
And another thing. No,
Yo, fucking Sharif. I love black culture. That's some shit right there. You gotta be black, then like you gotta be into those movies, man. Like as soon as you said that shit, I got that shit. Man, that's just hilarious, man. Anyhow, man. So let me see.
50-year-old bladder took over.
What's up, man? Jamie, let's get this going. All right. How long should she wait before doing her ex-best friend? Jamie?
So why do men get so offended when women that they did not do right by and had no intentions of doing right by decides to go one of their homeboys?
It's a valid question.
What the fuck is going on? I'm not about to answer. Trip, I'm not about to answer this. I'm not about to answer this. I know, but all right.
But I also want to know. But I also.
Now what the? Hold on.
But I also want to know, how long should I wait to spring it on him that I want to
with the homie? Okay.
I love his friend.
Surprise! All right.
I want to his friend. Yeah, I want to know. How long do I have to wait?
You said the passport. Where do you
gotta get your passport, bro. It's over with these American chicks. It's over. Go away, young man. Go away.
So it wasn't like, is it right or wrong? It's like, how long should I wait? 4 days, 7, 6 hours? Like, I feel like we could take this for a full hour, and I don't know if y'all want me to start. If y'all don't want to hear me last segment, y'all don't want to hear me on this segment. Nah.
I'll say this, and this is a prejudice. This is a prejudice comment. This is a racial comment, and it's gonna sound foul, and I'll defend it another time. I'll just tell the ladies out there, if you're dating a man and he has a Z in his name, don't do it. That's all I'll tell you. If his name ends with a Z,
Zion,
do not be out there playing games. If his name is Hernandez, Ruiz, or Ortez, if his name, I'm telling you right now, if you don't know, now you know. Keep playing. I'm just telling you. You're right. It is, but I tell you one thing.
I was wondering where you're going there with that.
You saving lives.
Stay alive. All right, keep on. Stay alive. I'm telling you.
They don't
forget his friend. I'm talking about don't be with another man, period. Make it work. That's what I'm talking about. Forget the friend. I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious.
You trying to save lives, Kelvin. I appreciate your dedication to helping people, to making the world a better place. You trying to keep a couple people out of the jails, a couple people out of the
trying to tell you, stay alive. That's right. There's some dudes I know, they don't play that. That's it.
Listen, for me, ain't no fun unless my homies can't have some.
Well, I'll tell you like this. This is the thing. I think realistically, and this goes back to what Damien alluded to earlier. Yes, there is a double standard. So this idea that, women are going to take their body and weaponize it against the guy and stuff like that, it's not a good look. Yeah, it's easy. A dude will always sleep with you. Bottom line is some friends of dudes will do it on the low or whatever like that. Very rarely do you see men just turn down free sex. It's not always the thing. And sometimes people, whatever, if the opportunity is presented, guys will capitalize because guys will sleep with somebody, whether they have feelings for them or not. So we do understand that. But I'll just say this, when it comes to relationship and when it comes to love, women are held to a different standard with what they do with their bodies. Primarily, I believe, because their sexual organs are internal. So it's a little different when somebody is entering a person. That's just different. That's how people feel about it. And so to do that and sleep with some guy because, it feels like you're doing it to get back at the person. Everything she said there just felt like, all of a sudden you just want to be with this friend. How long should you have to wait? Well, if you're single, why you have to wait at all? Because it's foul because this is his friend. And that's just the bottom line. So I think people need to be very, very careful. I'll say this, and this is, I know if this was network TV, it would get me banned or whatever. I saw Stephen A. Smith get suspended for something very, very similar. You have a lot of dudes out here with the egos. The ego. I think a lot of women underestimate the fragile ego of men. And there are some dudes that really, that would just set the person off. Now, you can't be governed by that, of course, but it's very, very dangerous to cut that close to home, really. And that could be, very serious thing. It shouldn't be that way. But a lot of these guys, I've seen guys like that, you don't have ownership of a woman. Whether you're married to her or not, you don't own the woman. But I'll tell you one thing. Some of these guys don't care. When it comes to that, it is the most important thing to a man. A woman can wreck the car. A woman can ruin the money. She can do whatever. Giving herself to another person, a lot of these dudes will not be able to handle it. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah.
Bring up some of these comments.
Yeah.
Go streets right now. Oh, no. Go to the north.
Yeah, but wife says, she says, listen, if the boyfriend in fact effed up, it is what it is. It happens the other way all the time. So there
Big
you
facts.
go.
Big
Shree says if he ain't do you right, his homie ain't gonna do you right either. Yeah. So, and he says like Jay-Z says, I don't know what they thinking. What they think them dudes is foul just like us.
Yep. I know that song very well, and it's a fact.
There's one more comment. Live life. Live life. I think her name was something like that.
Live life by doing.
Yeah, she says.
Shout out to Live Life.
She says at least she had reason. Guys will do their girls' friends even while on good terms in a relationship. Honestly, everything goes both ways. Wait a minute.
Listen.
Or did your girlfriend do your boyfriend?
Thank you.
Big facts.
Thank you. I was waiting for that, Derek. Thank you. I don't gotta say it.
All right.
So I have a question. generally speaking, I know there are exceptions. I'm not trying to say it's everybody. Would we all be able to agree, just the four, maybe some people in the comments, that women in safe and consensual situations control the access to sex?
Absolutely.
Right.
1000%.
So are we always blaming men? He had to do something wrong. He had to. If you wanted, first of all, she said she loved his friend. You wanted his friend for a while. You was looking for a reason. If we're talking about that specific scenario in the video, I can't say that's all women. I can't say they're like that. All I can say is in that video, it looked like she'd been plotting on his friend for a while. And the friend may have been plotting on her. And in my opinion, that's not your friend.
Let me ask you a question,
that wasn't
Damien.
your girl to begin with.
That was.
I want to ask all three of you questions. I want to ask all three of you questions, and for the married guys, this is probably rhetorical. But let me ask you a question: what if
you choosing violence?
What what would you do if some friend of your wife or girlfriend propositioned you?
Nothing.
No, I'm saying, would you tell her?
Would I tell her?
Yeah, because I want water around her. Can't trust the bitch. I mean, chick.
And this is, but I'm saying, I'm talking about a good friend or a relative.
Yeah, man, because you don't want that smoke. You don't know, man, don't know if it's a setup, so you better say something.
Yeah.
You don't know if you don't know if your lady's testing you online. You
Let's do this. Let's say it's not a setup. Then what?
Gotta say something, man, because that shit pop up.
Okay.
The other chick will flip it on you, like, "Yo, girl, he said this, that, and the third." Like, nah, mom,
Yeah,
right now.
You better say something because you don't know. I would say the same thing, and the most honest thing would be to say something. But it is what it is. You got to be led by your own, your own sense of honor on it.
I had a friend, and this is in the 90s. I had a friend who would be driving the car. I would be sitting in his passenger seat. His then girlfriend was sitting behind me. She would reach between the seats and grab me on the side while he was driving. Like she would literally make a pass at me from behind me while he was driving.
I'll say this. I'm just saying this to be as toxic as I can during this conversation. There's this artist. His name was A Boogie with the Hoodie, and you ask a question, what would you do? And he has this song where it goes, bust down, bust down, bust down, bust down, bust down, bitch, I'm drowning. So I think if you swimming in it, you swimming in it. You get what I mean?
First of all, we gotta give him a lot of credit for his creativity with writing. But go ahead.
Yeah, he wrote some dope. Bust down, bust down, bust down, bust down. Look
completely out the loop. I don't even know. EOT says if they choose their grimy partner, for sure, they both will stop talking to you. I'm singing Baby Tell.
Listen, I'm gonna go back to an old school days thing for the homies. Pass the pussy. Pass the pussy. That's what, bro. Listen, if she want to do it, y'all should have took her back and had a threesome. She would have got the best of both worlds. I'm keeping that up. That's what she wanted.
My God.
Hey, that's the level she's on.
You see what I'm saying, Derek? You see what I'm saying? Like, come on, man.
That's the level. At that point, that's the level she's on.
She for the street?
She want, give her what she wants. She ain't for the street. She's just about that life. And I like it.
What did you say, nigga?
I'm glad it wasn't me.
So not on Esther, homie. Goddamn.
If so, now I got a question. We gonna go there. What if a woman approaches you and your friend and be like, "Look, my preference is 2 at a time. Y'all with it? What are you like? Are you like?
I already been there, so I'm gonna keep it a buck with you.
The mom's like, "That was Thursday." What
I did that before, so I was like, "Hey, ain't nothing to me."
Oh, see, my wife checking it. She says, "I would totally tell my husband if one of his friends tried it, but I'd make sure the friend is embarrassed for playing with me." Yeah, she would. She would. It would get ugly. It would be really ugly. It would.
I respect it.
Yeah. Did you take the bait? The question is, did you take the bait? Did you take the bait,
Kelvin?
Yeah, Kelvin. Did you take the bait?
I don't recall. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. No. I'll tell you this. I'll say this. You know what it was? It was very, very uncomfortable because, again, the male ego. I didn't know how to react. He right here. Is she right there? What do I say? You know, the good thing is they're married today. They're married today.
So, Kelvin, was it uncomfortable until it became comfortable? Inquiring minds want to know, were you swimming? Did it become comfortable after the first time, or was it the fifth time? I'm just curious about, like, you know, how this thing progressed. And were you invited to the wedding?
You know what's crazy, Damien? I didn't say anything. And so when you do it, the person thinks you're compliant. You know? So I didn't say anything to him because it's like, that's why I said it's a tough position to be in. He was a good friend of mine and she was a good friend as well. And I think the difficult thing was, do I tell him? Now, mind you, at this point, I'm in control of this. Nothing's going to happen, you know, because I don't want anything to happen. So I'm in control of this. But now, you know, whether she would do this with another friend or something like that. And to be fair to her, I was fly like that. So, I mean,
I was about to say, do you accept accountability for being Keith Sweat before Keith Sweat? Do you accept accountability for being a Hall of Famer? You were the athlete she was chasing. So you have to at least do better, right? You have to be more intelligent as a black man. You got to understand that they're going to come after you.
Yeah, you know, but I'll tell you one thing, it was very strange at that moment. You know, it was weird because I felt bad because that's when I learned that if you get a woman that does something foul and they could cover it, I mean, he just driving, everything is good. This is at night, you can't see. And I'm like, you know, he's steady having conversation with me. I'm like, oh, snap, you know. Yeah. And so now it's a test because am I going to say something? I obviously didn't say something. And then it was like, okay, then that must mean you're with it. And it was, yes, it's a tough position to be in because you don't want to see this person heartbroken because the person is able to do that to them and vice versa. It's just a tough situation because your loyalty should be to your friend, you know, right. But your friend happens to be in love with the person that just did this.
Yeah.
And
she's fucking around on him right now.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, she's fucking around right now. You know what I'm saying?
You're right, D.
So what Live Life said something, we didn't read her comment. What she just say? I'm sorry, we missed that one.
She says, I think it's uncomfortable because you have morals, right? That's why you felt uncomfortable. She says, I think it's uncomfortable because you have morals. Yeah, absolutely. You know?
And you know what it is? You know, I think what happens also as a man, I've been cheated on before. Like I've been hurt before. I know what that feels like. It's not a good feeling. It's a tough feeling. And to watch somebody go through it, it is tough, especially when you have a guy that genuinely is into the person and things like that, you know, is really, and my father used to tell me all the time, he said, you could justify anything you want in your mind, you think about it long enough. So people justify stuff and be like, you know, whatever, that's the case, you know. And I'll tell you this, what I will say has shifted in my lifetime is this, there used to be this narrative that a good man is hard to find. I think it's equal now. I think it's equal now.
Respect. That's a great point. Now, what if it was like Halle Berry in her heyday and she was testing you? What if it's like one of those where you like, wait, what is happening right now? What if it was, you know, Pam Grier when she was Pam Grier? You know what I'm saying? And she was testing. Well, what if it was Miss Parker?
To my original point, and this is another thing my father used to tell me. He said, don't ever mess with a man's wife or his children because a man will kill you for his wife and his children.
Well,
like
it was a married, right? So she was still.
He wasn't married.
They weren't. But what I'm saying is this: at the end of the day, that's why I keep saying these dudes. A lot of these dudes, the line between sanity and insanity is very fine. That's why I used to have crimes of passion, and people used to get off. It wasn't premeditated. Dude walked in and found somebody, just started just letting off. Like that's just what it is. And I'm saying, if you play that game. You know, you play. I'll tell you this story. I don't think I've ever shared it on this show. A friend of mine was living in Georgia, and he said that this dude was separated. That the dude was separate. Dude was separated from the woman, legally separated. And some dude was going over there every night, 1, 2 in the morning, or whatever. One day he came out. The woman's husband was outside. He's like, "Yo, I know you in there having your fun, this and that." He's like, "But that's my wife, and those are my kids in that house." And the dude walked away. They said this dude never went back to the house again. Because the dude was out there 1, 2 in the morning, and he letting you know, 1, he's still in love with this woman. 2, he has a vested interest in this woman. And that guy never showed back up because you knew the next time you came out of that house, it wasn't going to be no conversation.
So,
and that's what I'm saying.
So, Kelvin, let me get back to your story with that thing, right? Either you went home and took a cold shower because she got you riled up, or maybe his wife, his girlfriend, is a fluffer. Maybe she was getting you ready for the next chick to come to your house that night.
She was getting me ready for what? What?
A fluffer. And you know what a fluffer is? A fluffer is a woman in the porn industry that gets a man ready for his scene. So maybe she was getting you ready for another chick to come over. Maybe she's a fluffer. Maybe she's
just being
maybe she's maybe she's a supporter. Maybe she's an intern.
She believes and wants you to succeed in life. Like, I think that's a great way to look at it. We all got it. We all want to see each other. You know, when they say I'm rooting for everybody black, that's what I think it means.
It takes a village.
See, but you know the hard thing though? The hard thing is, you know, if the shoe was on the other foot, the woman, you know what I'm saying? The woman that like I remember this. I always told y'all when I started my business in 2016, I had to get another job. I wound up driving Uber to try to supplement the income to pay my employees. And I remember when dudes would walk their girlfriend to the car or significant other to the car, the dude would come down to the car with her to look in my face, and it was nothing spoken. He would open the door and put her in the back seat. And without saying a word, it was this mental thing like, yo, respect the one I love like you'd want me to respect the one you love. But if this goes wrong, just know that I am going to find you. Like, that's just what, like, in other words, he didn't have to say, yo, don't hit on her. He didn't have to say she not single. He didn't have to say nothing. Him coming down to the car, looking at me, opening that door, putting her in it was statement enough. That's what he was saying without saying a word. And that's that's the reality of it. With a dude, these dudes don't have to say much. You already know what it is. So once you cross that line, for those few moments of pleasure, just know what's coming behind it. You're not gonna want that smoke. That's just the bottom line.
No, I've walked, you know, a woman to a Uber before, you know, and when I was, you know, whatever. But and you look at the driver, you just look at them and you give them a nod, and a lot of times they understand.
Yeah, a man understand what you
communicate we can communicate with each other with a look, with a glance, and that is something that is very true about men. But long story short, what was the moral of the story, Damon? I heard it was something about passports.
Always. Always. You don't have no problems with your passport. Clear. You pay for the quiet, baby. You pay for the quiet.
Just so we clear.
Here we go. What's this? Oh yeah. This advice about the advice about a marriage changed my life. No, am I the right one? Yeah. The advice about my marriage changed my life. This advice this lady got from a marriage changed her life. Sorry about that.
I had an older lady tell me, she's, I think, just past 40, and her husband, I think, is like in his late 30s, like so maybe like 41 and 39. They've been married for a while. I was talking with her about some problems we were having in our marriage, and she said, Joyce, what it sounds like to me is that your issue is that you are married to a real man, and a real man is not going to be ruled by a woman. And that hit me like a ton of bricks, and it immediately came to my mind when I was reading this excerpt. When she says, don't go down the path of expressing criticism, disapproval, and an ultimate lack of acceptance for your husband because it may cause rebellion, she's telling the truth. A real man is not going to allow himself to be a pushover to the woman he has chosen.
Great advice. I think it's something to say nowadays about women. They're not doing that either. But yeah, I think that's great advice. A strong-minded, you know, they talk about alpha, beta, sigma, like they talk a lot about sigma males. They'll cut something off instantly. Like if they're not allowed to be ruled by anything, not anybody, especially not anyone that they choose. So yeah, I think that's a dope piece of advice. I think we could all learn from that advice, you know, because there's a difference between a marriage, a partnership, a relationship and feeling like somebody is ruling over you, like you're their child, and it's like respect the rules of the house. You know what I mean? Like, that's a great piece of advice. I like that video.
Yeah, I mean, and the idea is, what do you think? What do you want from the marriage, right? What do you want to accomplish? You know, if everybody's working for the greater good, you want to see the best out of each other. Your success is her success, and vice versa. I think people have to be very conscious of how they love each other, and I think sometimes you have to tell people how you want to be loved, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. You see what I'm saying? There's some people, they love to scream, and that's how they communicate. If that's how you work for each other, that's fine. But most people feel like, listen, we need to come together. We need to be able to have rational thought. And if we're angry at each other, maybe we need to take a few minutes apart to calm down and then discuss it, because ultimately you have to have a discussion, right? So you have to know how it works for you. So she's saying, the woman is saying, basically, you're probably not seasoned. You're probably a little green, a little immature, and don't realize it's not that the man is foul. He's a man. You see what I'm saying? And I've seen people emasculate dudes. This idea of cutting the dude off when he's speaking or shutting him down and things like that. And that respect should be mutual. It should be mutual, you know, but a lot of guys, they're just not going to tolerate that. And again, it goes back to what I'm saying, the way you deal with a man and the ego. Dudes do not like being silenced. Dudes do not like being shut down and being bridled and things like that, especially in front of other people. That's the thing. Because if you've ever been in the presence of a couple and the way they argue embarrasses you, or you're embarrassed by it, or you feel embarrassed for the person, this is a tough situation. When you have somebody shut a person down in front of somebody else, and you're like, she disrespected him in front of everybody, and what goes on at home, you know? And that's the thing, you know. But I'm glad she was able to listen to the woman and say, you know what, maybe she's right. That's probably what I'm upset about. It's not him, you know, just being disagreeable. It's just his nature to say, listen, I don't like you talking to me like this, or whatever the issue was. I don't like the way you handle it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a dope point. I just wanted to, something that I heard somebody else say, and shout out to them. It's a couple there. They're called like the Lovepreneurs, but they were saying, and it speaks to your point about what you want from the relationship, right? So it was said, and I might not be saying it, don't quote me, but if there are two visions in the relationship, you have division. And it was something along those lines. So it's like, y'all have to decide what y'all want, right? What do you want out of this situation? What do you want out of this relationship? And then, like you said again, you're working for the greater good. So if you have two separate visions of what the relationship should be, you're probably going to have division in your relationship. And then what do you think is going to happen? There's going to be arguments. It's going to be stuff that you can avoid with a conversation a lot of times, and then setting out like, what are the goals? What do we want? What are we looking for? What are we trying to get? And how do we get there? And then developing a plan of action. And that's how most people are successful, right? What did they say? We quoting a lot of movies from back in the day, but it was like, do you have a plan? Mr. Williams from Higher Learning. What's his name? He was asking Lawrence Fishburne. He was asking Omar Epps if he had a plan. And I think that's something that we need to start checking people for. If you're serious about trying to be in a serious situation, what is the plan for this? And it don't got to be like, what are we? What are we doing tomorrow? You got to treat me like that. It's like, what's the end goal?
To answer Norette's question, I'm sorry, Derek, go ahead, read your wife's question. You on mute.
Yeah, I'll read it for the people that's listening at home. Is that video about how she spoke or what she actually said?
I don't know, because that's what we had. I don't know the context. She didn't really go into it as far as that clip is concerned. Maybe a little bit of both. But the thing I liked about it is it looked like she accepted the fact that maybe she was wrong in that regard. Whatever the case was, I'm not really sure. And I do agree there are different. Sometimes the way you say things has an effect on people either. And I don't believe you got to necessarily stroke people's ego. But sometimes if you can say something, and again, that goes back to knowing the person you're around. Certain things set people off, because I've always had this perspective. Some people are more interested in being heard than being right. So when it gets down to the argument part of it, Some people just like, you know what? Yeah, I'm wrong or not, whatever like that. You ain't gonna talk to me like that. That's what it is. So then you don't get anywhere. So at the end of the day, you need to be able to say, hey, I just don't like that. I don't like, I remember I dated a woman when I was probably definitely early 20s. And we're in a vehicle with a bunch of people talking, and I'm driving, and she looks in the rearview mirror. I look in the rearview mirror. I see her doing this to me. I didn't like that. And after everybody got out of the car, we had a discussion about that. Like, because I know what I'm talking about. Like, don't, you know what I'm saying? Don't silence me, everybody didn't see it, but I didn't like that, And so, you have to take in consideration, what works for certain people. And that just didn't work for me, especially since I felt I was more intelligent than her. So I don't know how you trying to shut me down, but,
Live life by doing. That sounds like a healthy relationship. It's about connecting with someone ready and willing for these conversations. Yeah.
All right. So let me see the next topic here. Oh, God, I lost my way. Where am I at? It's in my heart. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry, yo. My damn. Oh, here we go. Harshness in a relationship. Jamie, can you play the clip for that?
And I've learned this. One of the things that causes a woman to lock the keys to her heart, and I know infidelity will do it.
Yes, sir.
I know that not feeling safe will do it.
Yes, sir.
I know that her not being able to trust you will do it. Sir. You say one thing and do another thing. All of those things do. But I think that one of the biggest doors to a woman's heart that has the most complicated lock, of which only a single key can open, is she is very, very apt not to respond to harshness. That she can forgive you for doing a myriad of different things. But if you are consistently harsh to a woman, I think that locks a door that not even she knows how to always unravel and unlock.
Wow.
Have you ever had an instance where you were harsher than you needed to be? And you wanted, and this is men because we want this, we can be harsh today and expect that moments after the harshness, she should be fine. We're moving on and we're going on. But that harshness sticks with her. Because the Bible says in Colossians 3:19, it says, husbands, love your wives and do not be harsh with them.
Anybody else?
Well, to me, that was kind of a long way around an obvious point. I mean, I don't even hear people use the word harshness anymore. We too busy caught up with getabulism to be, harsh is old school. I mean, but I think just being negative toward a woman is not going to be inviting, period. I just think it is. And I think if you don't lead by love, or that example, it's almost like what our parents, some of the discipline we had, we knew it was based in love. And if it is, then everything you can kind of deal with that. And so, I would say being harsh is detrimental, obviously, to a relationship. I don't really know the different degrees of what a woman will take and what she won't take. Some women have different things that set them off. Everything. I think every woman has a different deal breaker. There are certain people that, if you ever hit a woman, that would be it, which is, I'm in favor of that. I agree with that. If you curse a woman out or you whatever. I think the reality of it is this: if you're in love with somebody, it's very, very interesting, and I think necessary for you to see how they react when they're angry. I think it's very,
Yeah, I try not to tell too many direct personal stories, but I did have an instance where a woman asked me to hit her because she felt she was angry with herself. She was trying to apologize to me, and I was like, it's okay. And I can nonchalantly be like, it's okay, but my facial expression be like, it's not okay at the moment. But usually I get over things, and I was like, what? No, like I got more angry that was the request. I was like, what? Why do you think that's okay? Like I was genuinely upset, but for concern, out of concern, and I didn't become harsh. But it was one of those like, no, that's not cool. Like I have to draw a line in that conversation because it was startling to hear that be the request, you know? And it was like, first of all, there ain't no reason that I'm gonna need to hit you. Like you're somebody I care about.
Well,
right? So, well, look, I'm going on mute.
A little choke, a little choke in the bedroom, a little smack.
That's something different. Damn, D, you on a roll tonight, man. Damn.
A little smack on the ass, you know what I'm saying? I had a chick that used to want to get choked. I had a chick that used to want to get choked and tied up.
That's not the same as what I was talking about. Like I might have, laid the hands like what is Leon Lonnie Love? Gina, might have, but not in any type.
I'm with you, Damien. That's off the table. That's off the table. And obviously, that's how the woman was treated.
Less is in the bedroom.
I had a friend. Really quickly, I had a friend who was in a relationship with a girl who cheated on him. When asked why, I knew them both. They were good friends of mine at the time. She cheated on him because he didn't hit her. All right. She used to pick arguments with him. He wouldn't hit her. And when I asked, well, hold on a minute, why would you want it? It's because he didn't love her. He didn't love her unless he hit her. All right. And of course, you know what the new guy was like. You know what I'm saying?
I believe the opposite, but
yeah, and the new guy, she complained about him just, on some Color Purple something where he just did his business on her, and that was a complaint. So
yeah, she needs to get into therapy. And you never hear me say that, but she needs to get into therapy. Because there's something, and you're right. I've heard people say that that's how certain people process in their mind.
That's what I'm saying. I'd be surprised how often you hear that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Remember I told you before that girl told me to call her a bitch on a date. That was the weirdest shit I ever had, man. She's like, yo, don't call me love and all that. Call me a bitch.
Like, wow. Yeah, absolutely. Live life by doing needs some trauma healing. Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? There's a lot of that going out there. Some women need tenderness and nurturing also in difficult situations instead of harshness. That's healthy. And
a good choke at nighttime with a little rope, chain, little baby.
Thank you.
Man, I'm just saying, man.
He ran out of scrolls. He's like, look, I got
everybody like what they like. I'm just here to please them. Who am I to deny what they want to have? Their pleasures. Who am I?
How do I change my name on the screen so nobody associates me with it?
We're totally against domestic violence, but in the bedroom, whatever you want to be a bedroom bully? No. So be.
What did we say? What people do in their bedroom, the privacy of their bedroom is their decision. As long as it's consensual, right?
Exactly. Yeah, so it's all good. It's all good. But anyhow, man, tonight was a great night. My brothers from got another. What she say?
She said nothing like a little choke by a loving man. There you go, live life.
There you go, live life. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Ain't nothing like a little tie up, a little change. You know what I'm saying? a little paddle.
No, could we get a guest who could talk about the ropes and the whatever? That might be an interesting conversation.
The craziest thing, I should date a chick into this shit, man. I don't know if she would come up in. I swear to God, I got stories for days, man. This chick was crazy.
50 Shades of Black.
No, this other chick I had two. Damn, I realized two chicks real quick. One chick, she's into the toys, crazy. Somebody broke into her apartment. The dudes broke into her apartment, left all her dildos running her dresser drawer. So we came to the house. Like, what the fuck is that noise? All of this shit was running, son. And on that note,
night.
Yeah, good night.
Good night, no rat, baby. On that note, we want to say peace, and peace.
Hey!